And a lot of them struggle with self-worth, as we were just speaking of. So then they get this God complex. And when I say God complex, I mean they can do everything, they can solve everything. Everyone else is beneath them. They got all the money. I gotta wear this, I gotta wear this, you gotta see me in this, I gotta drive this car. And so then you create a horrible work.
So there's a saying, and I'm not speaking of any sort of race, I'm speaking of a color. If it's white, it's not right. Okay? So white bread. If this was me calling you, one, are you gonna answer the phone? And then after you answer the phone, are you gonna show up?
Exactly. And then it gave a parameter, amen, on how I need to love her.
Talk about that.
He says Christ loved the church.
He gave his life.
That man up. When that man walks through the door, just tell him, man, look at my man. Come in and give us your fine self. You pushing that man and more.
This is when you know you're dealing with trauma in a light way. You get an envelope in the mailbox, you don't open it, you avoid it. Being avoidant.
Well, first of all, I just want to, welcome everyone back to another episode of the Whole Story Sundays. I'm your host, Shaquille the Wholistic One Gilchrist, and today I have a very, very special guest, Dr. Elle Harris. I'm going to let you introduce yourself and all that the hats that you wear, because let's just be honest, you wear a lot of hats.
I probably should have pulled up my bio so I can remember what I do. But thank you so much.
I'm with you, so you got to pull up your bio to remember everything.
Because it's a lot out here. It's a lot. But thank you so much for having me. Of course, my name is Dr. Elle Harris. I am several different things. I am first Elle. I am me. I am a mother. I'm a wife. I am a friend. I am a sister. I'm a daughter. All of those things first. And then professionally, I have a company called the W Agency. I'm the executive director of that company. And the purpose of that company is to help human service-based organizations and nonprofits to make sure their companies have the correct programming, they're in compliance, they have good HR, and that they're not harming the people that they employ. My goal is to make sure that they are prepping their staff to be able to go out and service our community, because we know social service industry, that world is just, the people that we serve in that caliber is growing every day. And so the people who serve them need to actually be fed as well. So my goal is to make sure these companies are doing the right thing to make sure that we continue to help our community. So that's one side. And then I have a nonprofit organization called Worldwide Women Group. And so with that, I help women and girl leaders become who they are supposed to be. So I build different programs, and our programs vary year to year, because I generally take a program, and if it's working and it's good and, it still matches what time we're living in, I'll go on with it. But if it doesn't, I'll flip the switch and start something brand new, just to make sure that we are reaching the people where they are based on the times that we live in. So those are the two major things that I do.
I love it. And you're dynamic, because basically what I heard you say was that, you go based off the world that we're living in. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of people and agencies and nonprofits don't understand that, it's not really necessarily about what you think people need, is about what people actually need. And you have to meet people where they are. So that makes you a fluid person. I love it. And that's actually why I wanted to have you on the podcast, is because I have looked up to you. I think you know that already. I don't even know if you remember all of the gems that you pour into me, which, let's be honest, has started this podcast. And I know you're probably like, what? But that's what greatness does. It really, all you do is plant the seed, and then the next person water it. So I just really want to thank you. And I think that you're going to be able to help so many other young ladies, because a lot of people don't understand how important mentorship is, how important it is to be confident. When you walk into a room, you can own it without being conceited. And that's what you do. And I just want you to just help other people how to understand that.
Thank you.
And also, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wasn't expecting you to say that, but thank you. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. And I was just going to say also, congratulations on the baby and getting that degree. I'm so proud of you.
Listen, I said I wasn't going to say this. Your audience may be men and women, I don't care, but people, we need to be honest sometimes. My breasts are so swollen because I'm breastfeeding.
Go ahead.
Looking at the camera like, do I need to? So I just want your audience to know I don't have hanging.
No, it doesn't even look that way, I promise. But that's why I say you, and okay, this is another thing, Dr. Harris, that I want you to know. We call it the Whole Story Sundays. So the Whole Story Sundays is based off being whole, like mind, body, and soul, but also it's about giving the whole story.
Yes.
So a lot of the times we can't be healed and whole because we're not telling the truth.
Listen, so that's I'll tell you the whole story.
The whole story. It is what it is. You are a mom out here working and grinding, so it's okay.
Yes. Thank you.
So I'm going to go on ahead and introduce the name of the topic. So this topic, guys, is called Walking Your Dopeness. You'll definitely, as we go on with the episode, understand the reason for us calling that. And I'm going to ask you the first question, if it's okay with you. So it's, can you share with viewers the difference between self-esteem and self-worth?
Yes. So that's something for years, probably back in 2015, 16 is when I finally grasped the meaning of the difference of the two. So esteem, right? Esteem is more so your outer beauty. Like, am I pretty enough? Am I skinny enough? Am I hippie enough? Am I shapely enough? Like those things that make you feel pretty and all those things. But worth is like your substance. Like,
come on.
Am I on the inside? Like, am I worthy of the job promotion? Am I worthy of the man in my life? Am I worthy to get, go on to college? Am I smart enough for this? So what I feel is like that emptiness or that fullness is where that's the part that, I believe counts more than the esteem, because we can make you pretty. We could go to a makeup artist and we can go get our waist snatched and all of that. But if you do all of that and you still feel empty on the inside, it was worth nothing.
That is so good. And it's funny that you would say this, Dr. Elle. And I do want to take a moment to be very it's okay with you. I do that every episode anyway. I don't know why I asked, because that's just what we're gonna get. But actually back in 2016, that was actually when you gave me that message. And I don't think you understand, and I'm not going to cry today, but it really planted a seed that I never could forget. To this day, I've never forgotten that, which was why this was the first question, was because you just came to me and you told me, Jaquil, you have very high self-esteem, but you have low self-worth. And I'm like, no, she didn't just read me like a book. How she know that? But it was the truth, because at the time, I couldn't put my all into things. I was self-sabotaging. So when you told me that, it made me think. And honestly, that's how I was able to start the Whole Story Sundays, was because it got to a place where I wasn't worried about the metrics, the number, the data. I was like, I just want to share with people and help people to know and take them on a journey while I'm still healing myself.
Yeah.
So I love what you said about self-esteem versus self-worth.
Snap. That is so real. And but it was so true, because you were fly every day. You always comes always to the time. You would second guess some of the things. And I'm like, why?
Why? Yeah.
Because but the thing is, we see those things like, I'm Christian. I'm Jesus all day.
Me too.
I've been teaching myself, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but something I've been teaching myself and praying now is, God, let me see me how you see me.
Oh my God.
Because you see the potential, you see the beginning and the end and everything in between. And all I see is what's right now and where I am and where I want to be. And I'm not there yet. So I can't fully process all of that. So if I can see you, if I can see me the way you do, can you imagine what our possibilities would be if we could see ourselves? And I know God is like, wow, man, she doesn't even see how dope she is. She don't even see it.
Please don't make me cry today.
You don't see it.
And so are you saying that a lot of the times, as I want to say women, but I guess this could apply to men too, because this isn't just like for women.
Yes.
Are you saying that a lot of the times why we self-sabotage things is because we don't see the greatness that God has for us?
But you know who does see it?
God.
And your haters.
Ooh,
Right?
oh, snap. No, you didn't just step on toes. Please expound on that.
And I would say, I'll put it in like a working environment. Have you ever had a supervisor who was always like downing or like criticizing every single thing you do? And you're just like, why is this person on me? Mm-hmm. But this person would know everything that you're doing in life because they fear you. They fear that if you finally tap into the greatness of who you are, you're going to take their job or start your own company. Mm-hmm. So what their goal is to continue to tell you what you're doing wrong, especially when you know you're not doing something wrong. They want to see what you're doing wrong. Your haters want to, your friends who give you all those little side, comments like, girl, you started another business, girl, you about to start a podcast. Everybody doing that. Those people, because they know if you finally see what they see in you and they're afraid to tell you that they see in you, they're scared they're going to lose you and they can't control you in the space that you're in now.
Okay. See how I'm about to ask another question outside of the question?
That's all right.
Okay. You said something so profound. And I don't know what your love language is, but I know for me, mine is words of affirmation. So just as quick as you can build me up with words is about as fast as you can build me down and break me down. And I'm learning that I take words to heart. And because I was bullied as a kid, I think that's another part of like the healing process for me is understanding like to eat the meat but throw the bone away. So when you said your haters, see that I have been in positions where I've been in employment, and I know for a fact you have as well. And it's like, dang, why y'all hire me? I can't do nothing right. And so it makes me wonder if we spend 40 hours a week at our place of employment and we're getting teared down with words, then is that really what God has for us? Okay.
But are we bold enough to step out there and say, I'm done? And that's what happened to me. I found myself in 2020 in a situation where I was in a contract. I was doing a contract, but I was still, because as the self-worth journey is not like I get it today and I'm fully 100% healed. No, I still struggle with it. I still struggle with it. And during that time frame, I had finally like started working in my business, but I was scared to fully say, if you want to hire me, you need to hire me strictly under my business, not as me as a contractor. This is fully the W agency. This is what we're doing. I was scared to do that. And so I found myself being used, being taken for every talent that I have, giving my all and not being paid my worth. And one day I said, this is what actually happened is I fell down a flight of stairs, head first down a flight of stairs. I think God needed to knock some sense into me.
I was thinking that, right? Because
and the stairs were like a concrete with like a thin layer of carpet. It was nothing but God that I am alive. But honey, when I fell and hit my head, I came back up with some sense because after that day, I said, no more. I'm not doing this no more.
And you know what it almost sounds like? It almost sounds like God had to just make you fall, or he had to like break you for you to see like, I got you, girl. Like, I'm going to make sure that your destiny is secure. And it's so sad because I think a lot of women and men struggle with stepping out on faith. And I think a lack of faith is directly linked to low self-worth.
Oh, yes. You
think so too?
Yes. And I never thought of it till you just said it, but yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And so let me ask you a question though. Like when you made a statement about like with the W company, how you work in contracting, but at the time they were utilizing you as a contractor versus you doing your own thing. Do you think also, because we both work, well, I work in mental health and I know you have background in mental health. Do you think also a lot of mental health professionals, and especially women, not to step on toes, have an issue with ideas and some being more creative than others?
Oh, yeah. You know what? So I'm not trying to make this a Christian podcast, but there.
Oh, it is actually no. It's okay. It is a Christian podcast.
Okay. So I feel like we live in a spiritual realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, I tell people this all the time. Something that we discount is that people who are mentally ill, and this is just my own theory, people who are mentally ill, I feel like many of them are trapped in the spiritual realm, right? Because if you went to church on Sunday and the pastor said that man has a spirit in him, or there's a spirit, I just saw a spirit running across the aisle, you would not say that pastor is delusional or he's schizophrenic. You wouldn't say that. Not in church. But if you seen Joe Blow on the corner say that, you're like, this man is crazy, right?
Oh, wow.
So what's the difference between my pastor who can see a spirit, but he's still whole, and Joe Blow who can see a spirit, but he's scared out of his mind because he's like, why am I seeing that spirit? The thing is, a lot of people in the mental illness realm, they don't know how to handle what they're seeing. So my beliefs are sometimes you've unlocked, or something has unlocked you to be able to see these things, and you don't know how to manage what you see. So then it's our job as a mental health professional to kind of help you manage what you see. And so, people, oh, he's crazy, oh, you laugh, but you wouldn't do that at church, which is so crazy to me, how we as Black people look down on therapy, when the same things that happens in therapy, the same things you're working through, and the same people who have these illnesses, you don't say that about your pastor.
You don't, because they will say, oh, he has some type of psychotic disorder, or, if we see him on the street, so he's talking out of the side of his neck, he's talking out of his head. But at church, they're casting out demons, and they're literally saying, I see this evil spirit. He's like, that's right, pastor, you're telling the truth. And you're absolutely right. Wow. Okay, this is heating up fast. So that brings me to question number 2. It kind of goes into what we talked about for the first question. I watched an episode on your YouTube channel titled Shrink No More. And to follow up on that episode, do you feel that when we shrink, it is a form of low self-worth?
Absolutely. Low self-worth. And are you familiar with the imposter syndrome?
Very much so, and to a degree, so like I have been the person who has been the imposter. So we'll talk about that though.
So I think that yes, it's definitely tied to low self-worth, and it's because, God, give me a second. I lost track of the question because I snapped and went into the whole imposter syndrome thing.
Well, however you go is where you go. I'm totally fine with that.
I think that what we do is, as you stated earlier, you're at a place for 40 hours a week, or you're around a person for 20 hours a week, say friends or whatever, however often. Your brain is a muscle. So being programmed to hear negative thoughts, or negative ways in which you fail in life over and over again, is all you know. So when you get to a place, that's why I bring up the imposter syndrome, you feel like you're not validated in the things that you do. Like, am I really worth this? Am I really great at that? I literally, when I got my doctorate, it was just like, okay. It was just like, okay, am I really a doctor? I've been in rooms and conversations, and people will be talking and be like, oh, Dr. Harris, you don't have to call me that, just call me Elle. Because if I was really truthful about it, it's like, I want to make sure that you don't think that I'm better. Right? I don't want to. But is it that, or is it, Elle, you worked your butt off for this? You're in the top 2% of this country of people who actually have a doctoral degree. So let the name be called, because that's what you worked your butt off for. That's what God allowed you to get the money to go to school to do. So let them call you what you are. Right. But for me, it makes me cringe, because it's like, let's be honest, am I really worthy of being called that? Am I like all the other people who are doctors? All of those things. So it's like we put ourselves in this box, because it's like, is it okay? Am
I good enough? So Jesus, I'm gonna let you know something right now. This is gonna step on people's toes, and this is what I like. I like uncomfortable conversations, addressing elephants in the room, lifting up rugs for people to sweep stuff under. I think it's kind of cool because it the truth heals. And so for me, when you just said, "Am I really a doctor?" and it was almost like you couldn't sit and work being who you were, what you worked for, because people would say, okay, well, she thinks she's better, quote unquote. And that reminds me of a time. I'm a minister at my church, and never would have thought in a million years that I was a minister. So it was at a point in the time where I didn't like when people would call me Minister Jaquil. And now I'm starting to realize why though. Because I feel like if that was something where, I worked, you don't know the hours I spent in the Bible when I wasn't at church. My personal prayer life with God when I'm not at church. And I get it, like titles seem to intimidate people. But like you said, why don't we feel deserving of the things that we work hard to achieve and obtain?
And I'm going to tell you why. I have the answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who we are. So, because this is what we do, right? You go to Instagram, you look at somebody's bio, you see all the titles, but who are you? If I took away every title, everything you did, entrepreneur, mom, wife, whatever, if I took all of that away, who are you?
Okay.
And 90% of the world can't answer that question.
So basically, what I hear you say is the reason why some people get uncomfortable with titles is because outside of a title, they don't really understand who they are.
They don't.
But
all they are is that title. And if, like for me, I found myself because I grew up with this whole like having really bad self-worth. And I know it's because there were people who were around me in my life who saw something in me, but they knew, like I said in the beginning, they knew how to say negative things enough where I just programmed and heard that over and over in my head. So what I then learned how to do is I suppressed the negative feelings that I had, the emptiness, and I stored it with a whole bunch of things, titles, assignments, jobs, whatever. I just kept acquiring things. I got 2 master's degrees. I got a bachelor's. I got a doctorate. I got all these things. And I felt empty at the end of each one. And I felt empty because they didn't validate me. Those were just things that I was supposed to do along the way. But if I knew who I was as the person God created me, which is a person who is supposed to call out and shake up disorder.
Come on.
Once I realized like who God created me to be, and I dealt with that, then now, okay, I know who I am. So now that I know who I am, when this thought comes again, hold up, no, that's not who I am. This is who I am. Those thoughts, no, I'm fighting you. I'm combating it because I'm reprogramming my brain. And so a lot of people, you can tell people who have either low self-worth, people who have been sexually molested by how many credentials they have behind their name. I see it all the time. You got a whole bunch of stuff because you are trying to cover up something that you haven't healed from.
I love it.
Keep adding on because there's no way that God calls you to do 337,000 things. He's going to use it. Yes, you've done it. He'll make it work for your good. But sometimes we get so wrapped up in all these other things and these titles and these weights because we feel so empty inside.
I love it so much. And the reason why is because I will say, and especially in the field that we work in, you do see that. But not only just that though, I would like to say, like, it's the scripture that says, what's the use of like gaining the whole world if you lose your soul? And so my thought process is, even if I have a master's degree, which, we can get, even if I have a home, which we can all have, but once you get it, like you say, you feel kind of blah, it lets you know what are you striving for? And like you say, if you really know who you are as a person, you can really further add to the world, Yeah. So, but then that brings me to the shrink no more. Then why do you feel that we're so comfortable with shrinking?
It's easy. Well, at least we think it is. At least we think it's easy. Like if I shrink, if I hold my head back, if I hold my head down, they won't see me, and I won't be challenged to really walk into what I want to, because I did this whole series. When I think it was last summer. I did this whole series called "Who Am I" on my Instagram, and it was going through I think it was 6 different videos that I did, and just telling you how do you get to finding out who you are. And if I cover up everything, I'm sorry.
You're fine. It is totally fine.
Phone
You're a businesswoman.
If I mask all the things that are going on in my life, you know, and cover them up, and you don't have to see me. Like if I walk into a room, if you tell me I want you to go to this ball and it's going to be all of these amazing people at this ball, the mayor is going to be there, the governor, this person who may be in charge of a company that you want to work with, all these people are going to be there. If I tell you that and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna make sure I don't put on a nice dress. I'm just gonna kind of blend in. Because that means that if I shrink in that room, that means people are not going to have their eyes on me. But what we fail to realize, and this is me all day.
Come on, please.
What we fail to realize, it doesn't matter how horrible you try to make yourself look. It doesn't matter how much you try to shrink into a room. If you have a light or a purpose in you that God needs other people to see, it's going to be seen. There's no way that you can stop it. You can't stop it. I've walked into a room where people stared at me and I would get so angry, like, why is everyone looking at me?
Wow.
Because I didn't want the attention.
Wow.
I didn't want it. Why? Because I wanted to just shrink. But honey, people will see the good in you before you see it in yourself.
Oh my God. You are speaking some like real fast. And so then my question is like, do you feel like it has to be a healthy balance with being okay with the hats that you wear, the titles, but also knowing that if you didn't have that title, you're still who you are? And in a sense, that's how you don't shrink. Is it safe to say that?
I think that once you know who you are, when you start to feel those times where you feel like, oh, wait, I'm shrinking in this space, you'll be quicker to acknowledge. You'll be quicker to see your trigger, and then you can fight it. You know what I'm saying? So once you know who you are, it's like, okay, wait a minute. I do deserve to be here. What am I thinking? I deserve to be here. Nobody in here is better than me. We put our pants on the same way this morning.
Man, and you know what? It makes me think then, you know, like it's almost a slap in God's face if we shrink or if we say, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to be Dr. Elle. What? Oh, you ain't just worked hard for it. And you mean to tell me all those nights you was crying when you was doing those papers? You don't deserve to be Dr. Elle, and God is giving you the grace. So it's like we slapping God in the face like, God, you didn't make me good enough. When in his word, it says, but you're beautifully and wonderfully made, though. So it goes against what God is telling us. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I love you.
Listen, you said it now. I'm coming back to your question that you asked. The questions come back around now. When I think about the human services industry and I think about the women who lead these companies, a lot of the women who, not all, let me make sure I make that clear, not all, but a lot of women who lead these companies started because either they have a passion to work for someone, they have a parent or a family member who's had mental health issues, or they themselves may have struggled with things. So they come in with good intention, right? And a lot of them struggle with self-worth, as we were just speaking of. So then they get this God complex. And when I say God complex, I mean they can do everything, they can solve everything. Everyone else is beneath them. They got all the money. I gotta wear this, I gotta wear this, you gotta see me in this, I gotta drive this car. And so then you create a horrible work environment for the people who are in the human services industry, right?
Please talk about it.
And it's so crazy to me that you know who we're out here trying to help.
Oh, Jesus.
Why cause that same environment that these children are living in for your employees? Why cause that? Because you have a God complex and you haven't dealt with your own issues. And so when you see somebody else, when you see a Minister Jaquil come up and she's, new and fresh and ready to go out here with great ideas and want to do great things in the community and help people, you're scared of her because if she gives too many ideas, people may start liking her more than you think they like you. So you got to try to put negative things in her mind. And so you're trying to make her shrink in this environment. So it's just interesting to me how the human services field has this cloud. And it is not just here, it's all over the country. The people experience this. It's all over the country.
okay, I'm about to open up a can of worms because you already did. So we might as well just unload. Elle, I can honestly tell you that to come into this field, if you are not called to this field, you need to run, because you're not only dealing with people who you're servicing mental issues. Sometimes, most of the time, I've worked in hostile work environments where I had to try to be the light. But it's hard to be the light because guess what? Your light has to get dim, because let me make sure I give her this negative evaluation. Let me make sure, I let her know all the crappy stuff, but never tell her what the client said about how she did great, how she's intentional, how she comes in the home, she gives great information. It's those things, and it's almost like, wow, I have to be called to this because I don't want to be a sucker for abuse. But a lot of mental health professionals will tell you they feel abused and they do feel like they're shrink. Because guess what? If I stand up for myself, if I have a voice, now you're going to try to come for me and come for my title and come for my words because you're insecure. And I never thought of it as a God complex. Here's the thing about mental health, guys. It's so many people out here who need help. It's impossible for you to be able to do everything.
Absolutely.
So I said that to say, you made a very pivotal point about how we shrink into that. And it's like, why would you create the work environment for the people who are trying to go out and help someone's mind? It's toxic.
Girl, it's so toxic. And that's how I created the W agency, because I have worked at, I can't think of one agency that I've worked at that was good. Now, the work, the ideas, the thought processes were good, but because of the management styles, because the management styles were not good, it was a hostile work environment. Every single one. People that I've worked with, as far as like my clients, people that I've contracted with, that's different.
They good. The clients, actually, believe it or not, what people don't know is that those are the people that keep you coming to work, is the clients.
The clients keep you coming to work. But companies that I've actually been an employee of, honey, I haven't seen, and I'm not saying everyone has to be perfect. You don't. But when you cause chaos in an industry, and that's what going back to what we said earlier about this mental health field is a spiritual thing.
It's a principality.
So why wouldn't the devil want us to be at odds with each other in the mental health agencies? Because we are the ones who have to go out and service these people. So if we're negative in our spirit, in our heart, we're not going to give our all to the people who need to be free, right? So when we're here at work and we're angry and we're pissed, and now I'm out here and I'm taking this energy to my client's house who's already broken, and they see me not really listening to what they're saying, nobody gets healed.
Oh my God.
So it's a continuous cycle. So, and the crazy part in all of that, most of those people who own those companies and agencies, they swear by God. God is their everything. So how can you be your everything when you treat your people so horribly?
Oh my God, Elle. Woo, child. I'm sorry, but I have to let that sink in. And the reason why I say that is because when you just said the devil know that we out here on a mission to help. So let me cause all types of discord. Let me cause all types of ruckus and chaos amongst these workers so that they can't be on the same page. And it's so unfortunate, Elle, because that's so true. And you're right. A lot of these agencies swear by God. And let me just go ahead and be honest with you.
Come on.
We're being treated right. It's times where they don't have, I'm going to just be real, enough overhead to pay us. So we don't get our check. After we work 40 hours with people's mind, then we got to come home and figure out how we going to rob Peter to pay Paul to get what we need to get. So now what we're talking about, guys, is the stuff that mental health professionals go through. I don't think y'all understand. We can literally hear someone say they want to kill themselves all week long just to be told by employers that after you work 80 hours for 2 weeks, you might not get your check. And they mad at you for being mad at them because you don't get your money.
Absolutely.
Or what about when you put in time to take off because you need a self-care day, but they'll say, well, everybody's stressed. Everybody needs a self-care day. What? What you mean? We work in mental health. Why am I having to explain to my supervisor, my manager, that I need a break because I've been pouring all week. I've been pouring for months and I have not took time out for myself.
And you got to beg for it. And here's my thing. This is the W agency hat. So for anybody who works in the mental health field and your company says, you know what, I know you did a good job this week, but we just can't pay you, then they need to be reported because according to licensing, they have to have 3 months of payment to your employees in reserve. 3 months. So that tells me this. They got the money. I've seen them. They got the money. They got the money. They just don't want to pay you. I've had a boss go to Las Vegas, forget to pass out her paychecks to her people, and everybody had to wonder how they was going to pay their bills that weekend while she was out partying.
Yeah.
So let's keep it real. It's unfair, y'all. What you just said is so true. Because you are called to this industry and you love working with these people, you'll still come back the next week, even after that week where you didn't get your paycheck and it was a couple of days late and your rent was late and your car note was late. You finally get things together, you pay that, but you still show up for your clients every day.
And I'm not that. I feel so emotional, and I hope I don't cry. But I guess
girl, you better cry. Let them tears out.
They might gotta go out because I have been in positions still, and still, you know what I'm saying? I can't give up on my clients because even though, my check is late, their mental health will decline. You thinking about all these things. And this is the other side of mental health that I never talk about on this podcast, believe it or not. I always am pro therapy, go to therapy, let's deal with the stuff that we've been through. But I don't think they see the side of mental health is not a glamorous field. It's really not. At all. Hollywood, y'all make it look real glamorous. You're going to get this beautiful beach view in your office. It's not that way. We in the car, eating between appointments, going to places that y'all judge as the slums or the projects or trailer parks or whatnot, and it's not glamorous for us. But I like what you said about the W hat. So y'all know what you said, mental health professionals, we report them.
Don't let that slide. You report them because if they don't have that money line, because that's what you said when you signed up with Virginia licensing board, you told them with Virginia, what is it, Behavioral Health Department, VBHDS or something like that. When you signed up with them with DMAS, you told them, I have 90 days, and you showed them that you had 90 days worth of income to pay your staff to run your company. So I need you to show that. When you come and tell me that you don't have money to pay me, I need you to show me how you're telling them something different. That's not cool. You can't do that.
And let me ask you a question, Elle. Because people go through so much, do you think that's also a way that mental health professionals can kind of shrink though? And the reason why I ask that is because, you feel so sometimes exhausted when you get to the end of the week. And so on top of hearing all this negative reinforcement, on top of, you probably had a long week with your clients, but then just to say, and by the way, I don't have money to pay y'all. Is that like saying that, do you look at that as devaluing the people who work for you?
Absolutely. Because there's a difference. There's two different ways how that could go. If you sat down with your staff and say, look, y'all, some things came up, maybe AC unit went out in the building and we had to hurry up and get this done because we didn't want the kids to be hot in here. We didn't want y'all to be hot. So I'm sorry, I don't have the money, but this is what I'm trying to do to make it right. If you told me that before payday, then your staff would respect you more because you're being honest. But when you do stuff like, check ain't here, like you're going to get it, but it ain't going to be today. And you say it like that, you really don't deserve a check anyway, because I ain't seen you. And I'm not sure if you're really doing your hours. When you say all of that, then that's when it becomes like, oh, so you don't even care enough about me to make sure I take care of my family. But you're asking me to support your dream by working here every day. So your dreams are valid, but my family isn't. And absolutely, that makes you shrink. And then what ends up happening, all of these great people who are in the mental health field, they leave and they go do something that's completely out of their purpose. And that whole self-worth thing happens again.
Wow. I didn't even think about this though. I didn't even know that this was a concept until you just laid it out so perfectly. So that segues to my next question. Why do you feel that there are deficits in women connected on stress? And I got this from your episode, and it really resonated with me. So do you feel that it is natural for women in the African American community to relate based on the negatives?
Absolutely. That's what we're built on. We come together because we're told we have to be strong. And the strong Black woman is like the key to every family, right? Grandma, Big Mama, she was strong. She overcame this, she overcame this. We are built on being an overcoming society. We are taught to survive, not thrive. Mm-hmm. And so it's easy to be like, this is my scar. Oh, I have that scar too. Let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. Oh, I got jumped when I was 10. Oh, I was doing a video with someone a couple of years ago, and she said, you know what's crazy? I have related with more women who've been molested. It's almost like, oh, I got molested too, or I got touched too, or this person touched me too. Instead of saying, she said, I felt like there was more women in the room who had been touched instead of women who hadn't. It was almost like normal. And the women who hadn't been touched by someone, it was almost like that was very rare. It is so crazy to me how we glorify being strong. Being strong is not a glorification.
No, it's not.
That means that we had to go through something in order to get to. It is not, you do not going, and that's what, we can't accept anything that comes easy, right? Nope. If a guy comes along, he's nice, he's sweet, he wants to do things for you, you're like, something up with him. Something ain't right with him. Why? Because we are not taught. We are taught to look for the bad in everything. We can never just say, here comes a blessing.
So almost like, no, it's the same with a lot of African American women as it relates to having a father. Oh, my father wasn't there. My father wasn't either. Then when you find out one person in the room who actually had their father, like you said, it's like you looking at them like they got a third eye.
Yep.
But it's sad because I just realized what you said was so true, because I have been on that side of the coin where, oh, he just so perfect. But let like a thug come or something like that, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep, that's the one.
Because we engage in struggle of it. We, like you said, we always got to struggle. So do you feel that we connect on stress because that's what's relatable and we're not healed?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because no one wants to hear, I have to tell you that I have to show you that I'm not perfect. Right? Like I've been there. Like, have you ever had someone say, oh, you look cute today. I love that shirt. And you're like, girl, this thing is old. Mm-hmm. You got to start talking down on it. Right?
I've done that.
Right? I've done it too. Or someone say, oh, that's, I like those pants, girl. They got a ripping at the bottom. Why do I have to show you my imperfection? Why can't I just say thank you? Because we're not taught to do that. We're taught to relate on the negative. I had to be strong. This is wrong. I'm not perfect. See my war wounds, because if not, you're going to think I'm just this perfect person. And I think for me, that had been something I struggled with a long time. People thought I was very cold and very prissy, or I came from like a great background. I've actually asked someone, some of you look like you've never struggled for anything in life. And so then I found myself trying to validate to them why I deserve to be in certain places, because I didn't look like what I had been through.
And so
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish, because I got to hear all of this.
So we find ourselves in a situation where it's better to let me tell you why you should like me, because I'm not perfect. Let me tell you how this was horrible for me, so that you'll feel comfortable in my presence. That's what we do. Because
if you get a college education, if you own that business, even if you came from Southwater Park, then I want you to relate to Southwater Park, because the CEO, you're going to feel like I've never struggled. Absolutely. Even if you don't know me, even if you don't know what I've been through, what challenges I had to overcome to get out of these places, and it's sad because when I heard you say that, Elle, it kind of brought something to me of, if more Black people, let's just be honest, African Americans, were pro therapy, do you think those conversations would change? Instead of us connected on weaknesses, we can then connect on strengths, right? Because now we're healing. Now we're feeding ourselves spiritually and doing the things that we need to. And we don't have to connect on these toxic traits anymore.
So if you would have asked me this question about 5 years ago, I would say yes. But today, therapy has become like a Chanel bag. Like, it's cute to say I go to therapy. Like, I've been in a group chat with some people, and someone was talking and they were like, oh, I go to, yeah, because that's why I'm in therapy. And I got a meeting tonight. The conversation had nothing to do with anything about therapy, but they had to make sure we knew they was in therapy. And the thing is, you can go to therapy now, but you got a horrible therapist. Just because you go to a therapist don't mean it's good. Just because you go to Burger King don't mean your burger's going to be done. Like, every therapist is not going to be a great therapist. And when you are in therapy, you still have to do the work. Meaning, whatever I talked about in this session, I now have to go and apply it to my life, which is the hard part. So a couple of years ago, when people were taking therapy as a real, true, authentic process, I would say, yes, you're right. But today, it's so cute to be in therapy because we have all of these celebrities like Taraji P., go to therapy. Charlamagne the God, go to therapy. So it sounds cute to go. But if you're not actually taking in and really processing and really being healed and breaking through those things that you suppress, there's no purpose of going.
Okay. You stepped on my toes, and I'm going to tell you why. Because though this is a pro therapy platform, there's some things that I'm noticing in mental health that people are capitalizing on, and it's not meant for that. I've never heard more people say that they've been with a narcissist in my life. And I'm like, have y'all even read the DSM-5? Do y'all know the criteria of being a narcissist? That's just a bad personality, Blue. Come on, bro. Like, don't doubt, because it's not going to be like, now people on YouTube who don't have no credentials in the field. And now that's when I get mad. That's when I'm like, I have credentials in this. Y'all gonna stop playing with me, talking about some signs that he's a narcissist. And I'm like, but you, oh, that's right, because you went to school for mental health. Oh, I forgot. Because you never did. You know what I'm saying? So they're capitalizing off of this, right? But we just said that it's a very not so glamorous side of mental health. You know what I'm saying? It's the side of mental health where we might not get our paychecks, guys. We get treated like these agencies, even though we come to your house and pour into you. It's called community-based. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you on that. And I never thought that I would say that, but I will honestly say I can see where you get that from, because unfortunately, therapy has been made to be cute, but it's also teaching some people how to be, it's reinforcing codependency. Yeah. So like, I'm going to be very codependent towards my therapist. And when I get home, even though she told me, see these positive affirmations, take care of yourself, do all these positive things, I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to wait to get to her and just dump. There we go. Have no type of solution for myself. So basically what I'm here is to connect on strengths. You have to understand what those strengths are and actually just do the work. Yes. I was talking to someone last week, and I was telling, the same person. I first talked to them about, we were talking about something, and she, I knew she had been in therapy, whatever. And I said, it's amazing that you're in therapy, and I've diagnosed and pulled out more of you than your therapist has in the whole year and some change you've been going. I'm confused. Why are you paying her? Right. Now that's become your friend. Are you comfortable? Are you just comfortable there? No, if it's not working, it's like a relationship. You got to get out of it. You do. That's your mental, emotional, spiritual, all of those things. You got to, no, it's not working. I got to go. I can't stay here. It's funny that you would say that, because I was one, especially when I was in grad school, to say, I'm going to have my therapist on retainer. But okay, just some background. I lost my dad in 2020, and it was very unexpected death. And my first reaction was, let me get myself back into therapy. After I had just been discharged for being successful in therapy, doing the work on my own and things of that nature. And then it's like I heard the literally audible voice of God say, why don't you spend more time with me and let me reveal to you certain things? That's why it's called mind, body, and soul, because you don't need a therapist to tell you that you need to lose 50 pounds. You need to be self-motivated to lose the 50 pounds. You don't need to pay nobody no copay for that. If you were just discharged, that therapist may really can't work with you, or you may even need a whole nother therapist. How about that? To just address grief? Because the thing about therapy, if you're right, if you're experiencing depression and anxiety, you don't need to go to a grief counselor. Like, if I want short hair, why am I going to go to a counselor who specializes in long? I mean, a hairdresser who specializes in long hair.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, take a moment, just wait. And it's been like a little over a year now, and I can honestly say I was able to process with myself by being self-aware and spending time with God why I felt the way I felt about my dad's passing. So sometimes therapy, like you said, it's not a cute accessory. It's really going to hurt to heal. So be very cautious, like about, like you said, using it as a Chanel bag or like it's cute MCM tote or something like that.
Yeah,
it really is work to be done.
Absolutely.
I like the way you put that.
It is. It's real work. And for me, I haven't. So I did I remember when we first had to do the whole QMHP registration, all of that stuff. You know, I did it the first year. And then I stopped. And, you know, people have asked me, why haven't I, you know, gotten my license to be in therapy? And again, I think that therapists are the bomb.
Yeah.
I have some friends who are therapists and they are amazing. And I've had a friend who helped me break through some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and when I tell you there are some great therapists, listen to me, there are. But for me, I live in a different, God has put me in a different realm, right? Mm-hmm. I'm very naturopathic, meaning I don't believe in eating certain things.
Yeah.
And taking in certain things in my body, mentally, spiritually, physically, all of those things. So for me, I knew that if I decided to become a psychologist and get my license, it's going to limit me. Because now I'm a philosopher by degree, I'm able to be an expert on different things and I'm able to be more free in what I say.
Come on.
But if I go back and say, I'm a abide by the ACA guidelines and this is my restraint, and I'm locked into this place, I'm not able to be in the free realm of what God has allowed me to. Because I know that there are things that God is going to allow me to see and do and help people break through where I can't allow a license to restrict me on.
I'm going to be
I can't.
So I'm in supervision and seeking, I am a therapist for my part-time job, but I will say this. It's been times where I felt very limited. You know, they'll tell us, be objective.
Yes.
Don't cry or things like that. And then I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna put this out there. It's been a time where I have cried in session, and I was told that I couldn't, and I'm like, so I'm not supposed to feel. I'm supposed to be a robot. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And I have felt limited in that way because I was like, well, God, you know, clearly I'm not a cold person. You know, I'm a very empathetic person, if anything. So how am I supposed to navigate being quote unquote objective, but at the same time, really helping a person? And I think a lot of times as therapists and mental health professionals, we get so caught up in the appearance that we forget to meet people where they are.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what a good therapist really should do. A good therapist should really meet you where you are. They shouldn't, you know, look at you as if like what you're saying, they don't understand, they frown upon it. You know, so like you're saying, some people are just going to therapy, unfortunately, just to say, I have a therapist, but they're not understanding the actual work that it takes to get yourself to a place where you can actually cope with stuff.
Yes, yes.
I love you, Elle. Oh my God.
I love you, girl.
You're amazing. So the next question is, what does walking in your dopeness look like for Elle?
So, as you stated, I'm a new mom. It's my first child. Y'all, this is a lot. And walking in my dopeness for me means everything that I've learned. Like since the start of the pandemic, I went on this journey, and this has been the most enriching, life-changing, life-altering journey for me. So my husband, he's a marketing strategist. Like, you know, he's an entrepreneur, but that's his thing. He does marketing strategy. And when the pandemic first started, you know how everybody's kind of in this like weird space. And so he came to me one day, he was like, how about you just do like a 60-day challenge of you just doing videos every day for 60 days. You got to put out a different video. And I'm like, no, I don't want people to see me. I don't want to be in front of a camera. I don't want to talk, because for so long, when I would get in front of a crowd of people and talk, my voice would start shaking and trembling. My anxiety would kick up. I didn't know what I was going to say. I would be so nervous to speak in front of people. And I would always get mad and say, God, why did you call me to be in the front of situations when I hate speaking, when I hate people hearing my voice? I shake. Like, Moses was a stutterer, so I'm so sure he probably felt the same way.
I'm almost positive he did.
Right. So why did you call me and to do this? So that 60-day process, by the end of that 60 days, I was so comfortable talking in front of people. Like, I had found out so much about myself in that time frame. So many things had changed. And so what I did from there is like, okay, it's okay. I've trained myself to be able to speak now. My voice is stronger. Like, I'm not in a place of fear. I'm not scared what's going to come out my mouth, because I'm like on purpose for this. God is with me. I'm not by myself. And so now, taking that process, being able to still kind of put out my videos and say different things, and now taking that and applying it to my daughter and allowing her to see that I mean business, and not that I just can speak it, that I'm actually walking through it and I'm talking it and I'm living those things, and I'm putting myself first, and I'm advocating for me, not just advocating for her, but showing her that I advocate for myself. Because if I don't show her that, I tell her all the time, like, I'm breastfeeding and she just want milk, and I'm like, do you know your mom is a whole doctor? Like, I'm more than just this milk. Right? So it's just like those things. Like, now I know that who I am. And when someone says, maybe you should do this, it's like, no, I can't hear your voice. The only voice I can listen to is God at this point, because he's given me this. And though I have my days where I'm not, and I'm pissed at God, and my trust and my faith wavers, I know that I return back to him, because that's all I got.
Come on, Elle.
All I got. And now I'm seeing myself like he does. So I see that I'm innovative. So, you know, when I won an award in 2020 for with the YWCA for Women of Distinction, Innovation and Entrepreneur of the Year, right? And now I can say, holy, I know that's me, because I'm about new things. I don't want to copy anything. I don't want to do anything that's already been invented. Everything is new. I'm innovative. I'm starting something new. I'm groundbreaker. I'm a groundbreaker. I'm a change maker. This is who I am. And walking in that. And then when I don't feel like I can move, or an idea can't come, being okay to say, this is just not a day for an idea. It's not. That's walking in my dopeness, and understanding that even with those flaws, like, you know, we always talk about, we want to be healed from things and letting things go and leaving. Like, I remember I had someone tell me a long time ago, there was a little girl that lived inside of me, right? I had a little girl. When I was younger, I was traumatized. And so that little girl still lives with me, who stood up for me back in those days when I was traumatized. And they say, you need to let that little girl go. And then my friend, who's a therapist, she was like, no, Elle, you don't let her go. She grows with you, because she was there for you in your most daunting and craziest times in life. Now it's your chance to show her, you stood up for me, so now I'm standing up for us. Right? That's walking in your dopeness.
That's right there. It's so fast. I mean, you never let that little girl go. What you do is you love that little girl, and you pour back into that little girl.
Yes.
That little girl, like you said, was with you at those times where you couldn't even see that you were going to be a Dr. Elle. Now you a whole doctor, and she like, oh my God, how did I get from here to here? You see what I'm saying? So you never let her go. You don't suppress her either. You stay with her.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So walking in your dopeness means being okay if, like you said, an idea doesn't come, not having to feel like, I got to get this out there. I got to get this out there. But being okay with it, just today we just going to chill. We're going to give our brain a break.
Yep. And knowing, like, I don't there's only 2 celebrities I follow on Instagram. That's Beyonce and Oprah. Outside of that, I don't follow them. Knowing my dopeness is understanding Beyonce is dope, Oprah is dope, but I don't want to be a Beyonce of mental health. I don't want to be an Oprah of mental health. I want to be an Elle of mental health. Like
Right.
knowing that you are just you. You don't have to be any version of anyone else. Be the version of you with all your flaws, with all your greatness, with all your strength, with all. I just want to be that. And that is dope to me. Being able to walk in every piece of me, the flawed and unflawed, and being okay with that.
That's so amazing. That's a part of, again, knowing your self-worth. And the reason why I say that is because, unfortunately, we live in a society now where if everybody say, all you gotta do is pay $600, take this lash class, you notice everybody learned how to do lashes. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. But my thing is, did God really give you the vision for that? So for me, it's like when you walk into your dopeness, it's like you're taking the vision that God gave you and you're executing it. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like, okay, I'm not trying to be, like you said, the Beyonce of mental health. I'm just trying to be Elle and let Elle have her name in the field full of people who they dim or they shrink. Yes. So I love that, Elle.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, so this is my question for you, because I feel like you're a great mentor. So do you feel that mentorship in education and career is important and needed so that the upcoming generation can understand how to walk in their dopeness?
Absolutely. When I worked at a company that we worked at together, I actually created a program there. The program was, the idea at first was to, all around, the purpose of the program was to be able to tap into interns, people who were coming into the field, social work or mental health or human services, and bring them in and prepare them for that field. Like being able to use it almost as an incubator to show them like what they were getting ready to walk into, like preparing them for all the things that nobody had ever taught us. And that program was amazing.
Yes, it was.
Like, we had some really good people to come out of that program. And so that has fallen by the wayside, because I think when you become, so say that you become a social worker and you go directly into DSS, and it's hard for someone to mentor you because they have a million people on their caseload. They got a lot going on. They're just trying to hurry up and teach you enough that you can just get through. And so you miss some of those many important things that you need to learn because nobody has the proper time to pour into you. And if you are working for a human services agency, they don't get paid by you just sitting there learning. They get paid by the hours you spend out in the field with those clients. So they don't want to spend a lot of time educating you on what you need to do. So that mentorship is very important. So my suggestion to anyone who comes in that field, even after your internship hours, you need to find a mentor. If that means, can I come? Because people don't believe in this no more. And this makes me feel old. When I first started my nonprofit, I worked for free for a nonprofit for two years, gave them my heart and soul. I would leave Virginia Beach. I was working at Geico at the time. I would leave Geico in Virginia Beach, way off Dam Neck, and then drive 40 minutes to Western Branch once a week. I mean, maybe like 2 or 3 times a week to meet with these girls and prepare them and do everything I had to do for this nonprofit because I wanted to learn that bad. Nobody would give it to me for free. So I was like, all right, I'm giving you my services for free. I'll come work for you. Just show me what I need to do so that I can learn how to run this because nobody else wants to do it. That's how bad I wanted it. So sometimes you're going to find, and it is very true that a lot of mental health agency owners, they're going to be busy. I'm not going to lie and tell you that they're not. They're probably going to be busy. If they're not busy, I probably wouldn't ask them to be my mentor. That would be a little scary.
Exactly.
But when you find someone, if you got to do it for free, if it's really something that you are truly interested in being a part of and you really want to make a difference, you'll do what you got to do to learn the things you need to learn. So it's something that I did. I said I'll work for free. Whatever it takes for me to get the experience, I'm gonna make it happen.
I will honestly say to you, Elle, I remember a while back ago, I was doing an assignment for school, and I needed to find someone to interview. And I was like, I couldn't find anyone. And I was just looking. I eventually found someone. And the one thing that she told me was that she always take time out to reach back, because she realized when she was in the field up and coming, she came in green, and then she had to learn real fast how to not be so green. So for me, why mentorship is important is because I remember what I was like when I first came in the field, and it was you. You took me under your wing and showed me the ropes. But I got people now who I'm trying to show the ropes, and I'm like, wow, this really is a lot to process, huh? So I think even agencies, if they could hire a mentor to help people get what they need, because it's really a lot to navigate your mental health and just in general.
It's a whole lot to navigate, and you do. And it's a lot of agencies it's not that they don't do it because they don't know that it's a need. They know, it just doesn't pay them. So they don't have enough time. They don't care. And I preach this all the time. You're going to have a high turnover rate when you don't pour into your staff. When you don't give them the right training or lead them in the right direction, they're going to quit. They'll just go somewhere else, and they'll just keep continuing that cycle. And your company just looks like that's the company where everybody goes and quits. Like the company that, that company, I couldn't put it on my resume today, know? So when there are certain things, if you just say, you know what, I am going to take $20,000 this year and spend it on pouring back into my employees, it would shake up that it would just make such a dramatic change in your business. And you'll see that you retain people, and you'll see more positive change in the people. I remember the kids we used to work with, I asked someone probably like last year, I was like, tell me one success story. Couldn't name me one. Couldn't name me one success story. Because when we work with those children, it was never about the progression, the success of those kids. It was, let's manage them until they're 18, and then they can leave foster care. And that was the most painful thing for me, because I do not like to live in a place where there is no result, no positive result.
It's one of those questions where, like, God, so you called me to an uphill battle? Like, where I'm going to be working my butt off, and you can't even name a success story? Like, what is that? That's not why we came in this field. That's not why I came in this field, Elle, and I know you didn't either. So if that is because it's a lack of mentorship, if that is because it's like, let me hurry up and train you in 1 week so you can be out in the field the next week, then we're lacking. This is as simple as that. Because like I said, pouring into, I never even thought about that. Like you said, put 20,000 aside and just say, I'm a mentor. So do you believe one of the main reasons why retention rates are so low is because people feel like they're not being poured into? Absolutely.
One of the things that I do with companies that I work with is I will go in and I meet with their staff, right? I meet with their staff and we have an honest conversation. It's like a therapy session. It's just me and that person. If you have 30 staff, I'm going to meet with all 30 of them, and we just going to talk. We're just going to talk. And a lot of times in the beginning, they don't tell me the deep stuff. They tell me the top layer, because they want to make sure that I'm not going to go back and snitch on them and say, so-and-so said this. So at first it's like, oh, the company's so good. So when I do my data analysis and I put everything together, I'm like, oh, your company looks good. Let me come back in 90 days and see how it is. The 90 days hit, and they're like, well, I reached out to my supervisor. She never answers the phone. I'm out here in the field and I'm stressed, and, my client, they have bed bugs, and I told her I can't go back in this house. And they're like, they don't care. They want me in this house, but I got kids at home and I don't want to bring that to them. So nobody really cares. And I'm trying to tell my boss this and they don't listen, or I don't know how to handle this person. They have, bipolar disorder. I don't know what to do. We have these goals, and I feel like the goals and the treatment plan doesn't match what I'm supposed to be doing with these people, but nobody's hearing me. They're just like, just service them, just go out and do 15 hours a week with them. And, we'll revisit it at a later time, but I know this isn't working. So you're frustrated. You're trying to tell someone, no one's listening. No one has the time. And it's not that your supervisor probably doesn't care. They probably just got a whole lot on their load too. But what if you were able to just break it down, say, you know what, let me sit down and figure out, like, what is the issue? Right? How do we figure this out? Even if it's someone who doesn't work for you on a day-to-day, if you bring someone in to be able to sit down with your staff and say, how do we make this better for you? How do we make this better? That's what it's all about.
Okay, Elle, I'm gonna be real with you, and I know I say that every time, but I'm gonna be honest. A lot of the times, companies are with you doing that is great, and that's why it was meant for you to work in mental health. To start your company, you needed to work in mental health first, then start. The way that it happened, God ordained.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because anybody else just coming in and not really understanding from the perspective of the employees don't understand that the main reason why this company really can't be successful is because of how they treat the people who work for them. And for you to have that conversation says a lot, because I know for a fact when people just venting, when people are just irritated, it comes out in their words. And so, I'm saying that to say, Elle, a lot of the times with employers, the reason why they can't make that connection is because they're too far gone. They're too far removed. They haven't been in the field in maybe 20 years because they've been owning the company for 15 of them. And so they can't relate to us anymore. Yeah. They can't relate to the clinicians. My solution to that is if you know you have a QMHPC who maybe haven't studied diagnosis, pair them with a LE or a supervisee and social work to help them develop the treatment plan together and come up with interventions together. So it's not just like this QMHP is supposed to be treating this person with bipolar disorder and they don't have no clue. So the interventions they're utilizing is not one size fit all. But you would know that, Elle, because you did both ends of the stick. Unfortunately, a lot of people come in, they try to fix it, and it makes it worse because it's too far gone.
Yeah.
Girl, so that's good. So my last question to you, Elle, is, well, we got two more questions. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So how has having high self-worth helped you conquer your purpose and live in your truth?
High self-worth. That's what I don't have. I have self-worth. When
Really?
I say high, no ma'am. But I will say that I have it. And that's the part of living in my truth. Wow. That's the part of living in my truth, knowing where I am. What it's done for me is it allowed me again to understand like what my triggers are, like what causes me to feel that way. And so I found myself now, there was a time where I didn't advocate for myself and I would just suppress like things, or it would come out in a negative way. Like I would want to lash out on people. But what I found now that I do have self-worth, I'm at a place where I'm able to say, wait a minute, that was not right. So now I need to speak up for myself. Because if I don't, I'm going to sit with this forever, right? That I didn't show up for myself. So it may take me a day or two to process, but I'm going to go back and say, hey, I didn't like how this situation went. We need to discuss this. Like, that's not fair to me. Or, this is how we need to correct this. Or I'm not putting up with this. Or we can't be friends because I'm not dealing with this. Like those type of conversations. I'm able to say those things now. So walking in my purpose actually came in my brokenness. But while I began to move into those things in those areas of my life that I was supposed to, it didn't feel good because I felt like I shrinked in them, as we talked about. So yes, I was walking and I was moving in my purpose. So I was blessed on that end because some people don't get to even go that far with low self-worth. I was moving in those directions, but I didn't feel like I deserved to, right? That imposter syndrome thing came up. And so when I did my dissertation was about women who are nonprofit leaders who struggle with feelings of imposter syndrome or inadequacy. We feel like I'm not adequate enough because no one ever poured into me and told me that I was. Or you put me in these positions in a company and like you say, you don't train me or mentor me in this position and I just don't feel like I can make it work. You're asking me to turn this company around in 3 days and this company needs 2 years. All of those things. So for me, I found myself in those broken places. And so I'm like, I got to do something because something don't feel right. So I had to start doing that self-work. And though it did not feel good, which is what we talked about earlier, how true therapy is, it didn't feel good because it's uncomfortable to start pulling things out from the past and like, oh, I thought I got over this. Oh, I thought, no, you didn't, because it's still making you not want to do what you're supposed to do. So once I started dealing with those issues, that's what helped me to get to where I am now. Do I think my self-worth will vary? It will never be low again. I know that. Is there a certain level of like the highest level of self-esteem? I mean, self-worth, I don't know what that looks like, but I know who I am now. And I care more about my self-worth than about esteem. You know, and that's something that I'm going to pour into everybody who's around me to make sure they do the same, you know, because you take a lot more mess when you don't value who you are and you don't know who you are. And that's not what I'm ever going to do again.
Oh my God. Basically, your self-worth became to a place where it's manageable by walking in your purpose.
Yes.
You didn't have to have a high self-worth or to walk in your purpose.
Yes.
So it's almost like you figured it out through trial and error.
Yes. Absolutely. Trial and error and God. That's how I figured it out. And so now I think that once I fully see myself how he does, or some level to how he sees, because I don't know if I can ever see what he sees, because, you know, he sees way more than we could ever. But at some level of what he sees, then I think that's when I've reached my highest, if that makes sense.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. And it's honestly, you're right, Elle, because it's funny because some of these messages I preach up here, I feel like an imposter because there's times where I still struggle to a point where when I lost my dad, because I didn't feel whole, I was like, well, I'm gonna just stop podcasting. And then I realized you don't do that. Like, you share to people the truth about how you feel. And guess what? You'll figure it out as you go along. So I love what you said about that, to a point where I think I'm gonna have to meditate on that myself past this. The last question is, what is next for Elle? How can we connect with you? And then any closing remarks that you would like to share to my sailors?
Yeah. So what's next for me? So one of the things I've, you know, just looking at like my goals for the year, one of the things I really want to do is a TED Talk. And girl, listen, and it's so crazy. Like I told you how I feel about, you know, being in front of people. Zoom has been really helpful, like to be able to do meetings. And I had to do a keynote speak for a gala this year, but I did it on Zoom. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Nobody, I can pretend like nobody's in the audience and I'm just talking to myself. So it's
right
here. But I definitely want to do that. I'm working on, you know, just continuously trying to rebuild my business and expand that. I took some time off when I had my baby, so that I could just focus strictly on her. But that's the main thing right now. I think that there's so many things I want to do in life, in the realm of helping women and girls, especially because it's that thing of going back and reaching back and knowing what it's like to not having people in certain areas of your life. And for me, I know that I'm so tied heavily to young girls because I want to become the girl that I needed for them.
Right.
So I'm really big on that. You know, my goal one day is to start a school for girls.
Yes.
So, you know, I just want to start to put myself in position to learn more things in that arena. Where you can find me on Instagram, I am dr.elle Harris on Instagram, and on Facebook, I think I'm just Elle Harris, and then on YouTube, Elle Harris. Most of my videos are probably more on Instagram than they are on YouTube because YouTube takes forever to upload.
It does. Oh my God. Tell me about it. And because we got a good hour and 19 minutes worth of content, I'm gonna let you know it's gonna fuck my nerves.
It's gonna take a long time to upload. And then what my last words would be is, this has been an amazing podcast. I want to say that. And I think something kept resonating to me while we were talking. I remember, and I told Jaquil this a while ago, when we worked together, she was brought in to get me fired. She was part of my job. And and it was so interesting because the person did that, but I gave her everything that I could. I treated her with love because I knew that she didn't know that she was brought in to do that. She didn't know that. But this is what we talk about in the mental health industry. People will do mean things like that. But this young lady, like where she is now in life, she needed me to still give her love, even when she was brought in to take me away from what I was supposed to be doing. So what I did was, because I knew why she was brought in, I gave her everything I could while I was there. And I pieced myself on out. And so I was still in charge of my destiny, and God blessed me with that. And the people who orchestrated all of that were not happy. They weren't. But it's just amazing to me. And it's such a blessing to see that we are here today speaking, even though that was done in such an ill way.
And in a way where it's women being women and not women hating on the next woman, you know, because Elle, honestly, I really did not know that. And the sad part about it is, though I was brought in to do that, it's not like I was treated that amazing. So it lets you know when people have an agenda or an objective. And I want to say this, Elle. Also, and I'm not gonna get emotional, but I may.
Listen, stop. Listen, hold on, time out. We're gonna do this right now, and I need to with you and see all of your next sessions. What you will not do is introduce your emotions before you let them out. Let them emotions fall how they may, because you never know who could be blessed because of your pouring out of your emotion. Don't let anyone. We do that as women. I'm about to cry. Telling somebody no, that is a beautiful thing to be able to cry. It is a therapeutic thing that God gave us. He counts our tears. So every tear that you drop, he counts. He's going to make sure they're accounted for and that you're going to be comforted for it. But we do that so often as women. We always announce our emotions before we enter the room. I don't want you to do that no more. And I want you to make sure when you have somebody up here and they tell you the same thing, you tell them, don't announce your emotion. Whatever you feel it.
I sure will.
Feel it.
That's what I mean by that pouring in, and that like always like checking stuff. I love that. I love that you do that, because when I started at the company we were at, I was going through a repossession. I was repossessed. So I wrote in that little red hoopty that by the grace of God got me Newport News and York County and Hampton and Isle of Wight County. Looking back, like, God, that little hoopty was about to give out. That little hoopty broke down on me when I wasn't at work. But when I was at work, you made provision.
I didn't know.
Well, that's what happened, in a situationship where the situation wasn't in my favor. So at the time, my self-esteem and my self-worth was low, very low. And I don't know if you noticed, but like when you said that, planted that seed of it's a difference between self-worth and self-esteem. It kind of sparked something into me, because who would have ever thought maybe a year or two later, I would be celibate. That's when I would give my life to Christ. That's when I would get through a master's program. And I'm looking back in retrospect and I'm like, and it was that seed that planted this situation. And so you'll be surprised what your words how they can help a person who's really going through a bad situation, a dark place. And so it was just like, the only reason why I came to that company was to have an encounter with you. I thank God for that. I really do. I really do, because it has birthed so many other things. And I can honestly say, like you, I don't have high self-worth, but boy, am I aiming and I'm getting there. And if I cannot do anything else, it's just to help other women to know, like, if you were the underdog, you still have a voice. You have something to say, and it doesn't have to come out perfect. It just got to come out. Yeah. So I just thank you. Like, I really do. And I mean that from the sincerest portion of my being. I thank you.
I thank you for saying that. And I tell you why. I have people that say things like that to me, or who haven't. You know how you hear people say, oh, you've been good to me in my life. And I'm just like, yeah. But I think today I'm taking it to heart. And while you're speaking, I think about some of the girls I've mentored. I have one of my girls, she's getting ready to be an anesthesiologist in May.
Check her out.
Finish her presidency, and I'm just like, wow. She calls me her mama bear. Like it feels good to know, like to see where you are and everything that you're doing. Mm-hmm. It feels so good, man. You don't even understand your work and those conversations that we had and where you are and the people that you're going to help and the people that you're going to help with the mental illness by being a clinician. Like you don't even understand what that means to me. You are the seed coming forth, and I'm able to see that, and that's a blessing. That means a lot to me. So thank you so much for saying that.
No, this is what walking in your dopeness is, and this is what good mentorship is, and it needs to happen. Like we need to be mentors. So guess what? I'm going to reach back. I'm going to find a girl to mentor who I can help. You know what I'm saying? Bust into the doors and feel confident when she walk into that room. She don't have to feel belittled or devalued because she don't know anything.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? She don't know the verbiage. So I just want to thank you, Dr. Elle. Let's put emphasis on the doctor though. I want to thank you for, joining me. This episode, when they see it, it'll be coming out next week. We're talking to you guys a week earlier at 7 p.m. And I'm going to link all of your information, like the YouTube, everything down. And also, is there anything else, like as it relates to with your nonprofit, that we should know about that, or for the most, like if people want to donate or help out, is there any way that we could assist?
You can go to worldwidewomengroup.org. All of our information is there, all of our programs, how you can donate, all of those things are there. So before the pandemic, we were working on a program called Womanhood. And the purpose of that was we were going to give little girls who had just, received their period these boxes, and the boxes was going to introduce them to womanhood, because I don't know how you found out about, handling your period. Because when I got mine, my mom was like, the pads are underneath the cabinet.
Oh my God.
And that was the end of the conversation. But we wanted to be able to give them a box filled with the snacks that we need, a calendar to mark your period with pads and stuff like that. So our goal is by the end of this summer to get that program back up and running where it's safe to touch things. But that is something that we're going to be working on right now. I'm taking things a little bit slower with the nonprofit because I am a serial entrepreneur. So I've been able to do a lot. But now I got this baby, I got to move back slowly into everything. But that is one thing that we are going to get back into, because I really truly believe we don't introduce that part of womanhood in a graceful way. And I really want to be able to do that. So. Okay, perfect. Yeah. And so, Elle, if you will, when we end this, just email me the link to your to the worldwide, your women's group, so that way I can put all of that stuff in the biography or the caption when we post this on. Gotcha. I will. All right. Well, Elle, it was so nice working with you. I appreciate you for everything. Thank you for taking the time out in your busy schedule to talk to me. And so you have a good one, Elle. And guys, thank you for joining episode 26 of the Whole Story Sundays. Happy selling and healing, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Bye.